What is up, you guys? This is MiniSuperHeroes Today, and continuing on with my MCU countdown to Avengers Endgame, I'm going week by week through every MCU movie in chronological order of release, showing you a custom and regular minifigure showcase from every MCU movie in order. Now, the important thing to note about these early MCU movies before the first Avengers is that there were no Lego sets produced for these Phase 1 movies, so all of these custom figures here are purists from this movie, meaning that none of these figures came from Captain America the First Avenger sets because there were none. So, going on that marathon, it's led us right here to Captain America the First Avenger. And man, I love this movie. It's actually like in my top 5 or 6 MCU movies, and I'm just really excited to do this showcase. You know, I remember when this movie came out, I was so hyped because at this point we knew the Avengers movie was on its way. This was the last movie before the Avengers. I remember going with all of my friends to see this in the theater and right before high school and everything, and it was just such a great time, such a good time to be introduced to Captain America, and he became my favorite superhero after this movie. So not only is it a great movie, but it holds a special place in my heart, and I'm really excited to show you these custom figures starting now. Alright, so it only makes sense that we start off with Captain America himself, Steve Rogers. So I'll start breaking down this figure. Now, again, as I said, there were no figures from Captain America the First Avenger that were officially produced, so this is 100% purist. And I wanted to design him with a World War II style look, but with staying as close to the Captain America design as possible. So in order to do that, I used the torso from the Captain America Jet Pursuit set that came with Ms. Marvel and all of that, because I really liked this bomber jacket with the, brown Captain America design. And while it isn't 100% accurate to the First Avenger, as far as using the purist method goes, this is definitely the closest option that we have. So I used that torso. The legs I used from one of the Explorer guys from the collectible minifigure series because I really liked the brown boots on the dull molded legs with these cargo pants up top. I think it really makes him look like a rugged soldier. I gave him just a regular shield because the only shield that was produced in the really unique, quote-unquote original shape was a Comic-Con exclusive, so I know nobody's going to have that that's watching this. And then for the head and the hair, I designed those from the Helicarrier Captain America, which that version of the character is exclusive to that set, but the pieces are not. So the head is from Episode 1 Obi-Wan from The Phantom Menace, and the hair is from Star-Lord from the first wave of the Guardians of the Galaxy sets. So luckily those pieces are attainable elsewhere, and I think that it makes for a really good young Cap from Captain America the First Avenger. So let's move on to the next figure. Alright, well, let's just keep knocking out these Steve Rogers figures, because the next figure is young Steve Rogers, aka pre-serum Steve, before he got the super soldier serum. So I used the torso from Aldrich Killian from Iron Man 3. I used the face from little kid Anakin. Now, I bet that some of you guys might be like, oh, he looks too young, but I just wanted to have a difference between the normal Cap and the pre-serum Cap so that he looked a little more youthful and a little bit skinnier and smaller. So I know that that may be a little bit overboard, but if you have a better head in mind, let me know in the comments below. The hair, of course, is pulled from the same place from the original Guardians of the Galaxy set's Star-Lord, and then the legs are just some short, tan legs. So I really like the way that this looks, and I think it goes well for a great skinny Steve Rogers. Alright, so the final Steve Rogers for this showcase is the Steve right after he got this super soldier serum. So the legs are just some Star Wars legs from one of the, Rebellion troopers or Resistance troopers, I don't 100% recall, but I like those khaki-looking legs. The torso is from the collectible minifigure series Bruce Wayne, more accurately Batman from the Beach set that came with the little surf buoy thing. I just think that that's a good shirtless torso for him. And then the head, of course, is the same from before. It's the head from Episode 1 Obi-Wan and the hair from Star-Lord from the first Guardians of the Galaxy sets. So because that scene is so iconic and it shows Cap going from before the serum to after the serum, I definitely wanted to make sure I included this version of Cap in my showcase. So let's start diving into the figures that aren't named Steve Rogers from this movie, shall we? Okay, so next up we've got Dr. Erskine, who you'll remember in the movie is the guy that created the super soldier serum. So the head I used was from Henry Jones, aka Indiana Jones' dad, from the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade sets. I really like that head, especially without a hairpiece, because Erskine's kind of, losing his hair a little bit. So I think that that's a really good face, especially with those antique looking glasses. The torso is the scientist torso that I use oh so often from the city sets, but you'll see that there's a yellow neck part there, so you'll want to put some tan hands on there, and then I just gave him some khaki legs to round out that vintage look. So here's to you, Dr. Erskine. Thanks for creating Captain America, and thanks for keeping the MCU safe. Alright, well, that was a little cheesy, but let's go on to our next figure. Alright, next up we've got Chester Phillips, who you'll remember is Tommy Lee Jones' character, who's kind of like the army general that's a little tough on Cap, but ends up helping out at the end. So this figure was super difficult to create, and I know that it's not as accurate as it probably could be, but I always want to try to give you guys as many characters from every movie as possible, and while this is probably my least favorite character in this showcase, I wanted to include him anyways. So I gave him a brown conductor's cap. I gave him this face from Lord of the Rings. Now, I don't exactly remember what character this is, so let me know in the comments below. I used the torso from the Toy Soldiers in Toy Story and put some tan hands on there. And then for the feet, I used Indiana Jones' legs. So, again, not my favorite custom here, but I wanted to include him. And speaking of my favorite custom, my favorite one is coming up next. Alright, so I said my favorite custom is next, and I didn't lie. This is Peggy Carter. Now, we've never ever gotten a Peggy Carter official LEGO minifigure, which is a total shame, and now that she's no longer with us in the MCU, we'll probably never get one, so I definitely wanted to have her as a custom in this video. So I used the brown hair from Scarlet Witch, I used the face from Captain Marvel, the comics Captain Marvel, that is. I used this torso from Indiana Jones. I believe her name was Eleanor or something like that, but I don't 100% remember. But I like this for the look that she has in Captain America, the First Avenger, when they're hanging out on the army base. And then, of course, I gave her Scarlet Witch's black skirt. So, yeah, I really like the way that this custom turned out, and it's definitely my favorite in this collection. I also wanted to say, too, that if you have the Women of NASA set, I think that the legs from this would work pretty well if you don't have Scarlet Witch. Just wanted to give you an option if you needed an option, because he didn't have Scarlet Witch. So, let's move on to the next figure. Alright, so next up we've got the main villain of the movie, the Red Skull, and man, do I love this figure. So, the torso, the arms, and the head are all from the official Red Skull LEGO minifigure from several years back, but I did make some additions. The Tesseract came from that set too, but I definitely wanted to make sure that he had the Cosmic Cube. Then I added these legs from Star Wars. I believe that they're General Hux's legs, but all of my Star Wars legs have kind of gotten mixed up, but I'm like 99% sure those are General Hux's legs. And then I added this black conductor's cap up here just to give him a little extra flair that the official LEGO minifigure didn't give. So man, I freaking love this figure. It is so awesome, and I love that it's simple. You know, sometimes LEGO can over-design figures, more often than not they under-design, but I absolutely love this design, and with just a few modifications, it turned out perfect. So, let's dive into the next figure. Another great one, because it's Bucky Barnes. So yeah, Bucky Barnes was really fun to design for this showcase because he had a really unique design in the movie, and I thought that it worked really well. Now, as you can see from this image, Bucky was wearing this jacket. Now, if you have the Avengers Infinity War Bricktober pack, I actually prefer this torso to the one that I used in my showcase, but I just wanted to give full disclosure. The reason why I didn't use the Infinity War Bricktober pack is because as of this video, it's not commercially available in the United States. It may be someday, but right now it's not. And so with that, I wanted to use a torso that you actually could get commercially instead of one that's only exclusive to our non-US friends. So in any case, let me start breaking down Bucky Barnes. So the hair is the Superman hair in a dark brown. I just like the way that that looks. I used Poe Dameron's head, which I think looks really good for this. I used the jacket from Cassian Andor from Star Wars Rogue One, but he had like kind of tannish hands, like not skin tan, but like pasty tan, I guess. So I put some skin tan hands on there, and then I just gave him some brown legs to round out the figure. So I'm really happy with the way that this turned out, and even though Peggy Carter is my #1 favorite, this is definitely my #2. Alright, so up next we've got Howard Stark, and I'm really happy with the way that this turned out because you only need 2 figures to make it. So the hair, the torso, and the legs are all from the 2012 Batcave version of Bruce Wayne from the LEGO DC superhero sets. I think that it works really well for an antiquated suit from the World War II era for Howard Stark. The only other thing you'll need is the head from Tony Stark, and I used my eraser method to take off the bottom part of his goatee. This is the same head that I used on my Freddie Mercury custom, which you'll see a card pop up here for. But yeah, I really like this because nobody's gonna look more like Tony Stark than his dad, and I think that it works really well to just take an eraser and take that off. Now, if you guys haven't heard of my eraser method or unfamiliar, what I do is I take an eraser and you just have to rub really hard on the area that you want the printing to come off on. So comparing this to the Tony Stark head, you can see this is the exact same head, but the one on the Iron Man figure here still has the bottom part of the goatee. So on my Howard Stark and on my Freddie Mercury, I just took an eraser and went under his chin there and wiped off all of the printing there. So the only thing is, of course, once you take that printing off, you can't get it back on. So make sure you have doubles of that figure, or it's a figure you don't really care about destroying before you use the eraser method. So anyways, we've got a few more characters to go, so let's not stop now. Alright, so next up we've got Arnim Zola, and man, this figure is absolutely awesome. Well, I like to think so. So, you only need a few figures to make him, actually. I used the hair from Aldrich Killian, which if you're gonna get Aldrich Killian anyways, you're gonna need him to build my... Oops, I dropped him. You're gonna need him to build my pre-serum cap, as you can see here. So, since you already have Killian out, you can pull the hairpiece off of him for Zola. The head is from Egon from the Ghostbusters sets, so that's really nice. I like those big round glasses there. The torso is from the Penguin from the Lego DC sets. Specifically, I pulled mine from the 66 Batcave, but this torso has showed up on other Penguins. I did switch the hands out for tan hands, and then of course he just has short black legs. So, let's move on to our last few figures. So for this showcase, I didn't create all of the Howling Commandos, but I did create the most memorable one, Dum Dum Dugan. So the legs are Eric Killmonger's legs from the Black Panther sets. The torso is from Steve Trevor from the only Wonder Woman movie set. The head is from one of the Resistance troopers from a battle pack. I don't really know that he ever had a name, but I really like that big brown mustache he's got. And then the hat is a bowler cap from the Riddler, as you can see. Now, as you'll see in the image, the movie version, of course, has a brown bowler cap, but that brown bowler's cap, it's actually like a reddish brown. The official Lego version has only shown up in 2 places, and I don't have either one, so I went with green because, hey, it still kind of matches that military look, and it's the closest I had. So, as always with my videos, if you don't have any of the pieces, you can always improvise. So, one more figure to go, and then we're gonna wrap this up. And just like he always does, we've got Nick Fury showing up at the end of this showcase. So, of course, this is the Nick Fury from the Helicarrier. Same head, same torso, same legs and everything. I think that this is a great figure. Lego really did a great job with the printing and design of this figure. But in any case, I used the exact same Nick Fury from the Helicarrier that I did for my showcase. So, that wraps up my showcase, and let's do a final recap of everything that you saw today. Alright guys, well that wraps up my showcase on the minifigures from Captain America, the First Avenger. So I'm really happy with the way that all of these turned out. This is probably one of my favorite MCU showcases to date. Again, a little bit biased because I love this movie so much, but man, it was just so much fun to put this together, and be sure to let me know in the comments below which figure in this collection is your favorite. Also, let me know who you're excited to see next week in the Avengers showcase, and be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss another showcase, tutorial, or review from Mini Superheroes Today. So thanks so much for tuning in, you guys. It has been a blast doing this video today. I'll see you next week for the Avengers, and until next time, build on. If you liked what you saw and you liked what you heard, feel free to click that subscribe button for more LEGO content coming in the near future. So, thanks for tuning in to today's video, and until next time, build on.